Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions for Week 5. And last week, I actually had a really good week. I went 11 and 5. Total season record is 36 and 28. And now that we're in Week 5, this week starts the addition of the bye weeks. And before we begin, a reminder that the Lions, the Tennessee Titans, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Los Angeles Chargers all have bye weeks. And for three of these teams, they desperately needed them. And let's begin with Thursday Night Football with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Buccaneers getting a huge win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Baker Mayfield looked really good again. And they basically did the same thing they did to the Eagles back in the wild card round. Granted, the Eagles were hobbled and injured. As for the Atlanta Falcons, they had a come from behind win taking out their division rival New Orleans Saints, and it was mostly thanks to a Young Hoku 58-yard game-winning field goal. Now, this game is being played in Atlanta. Once again, Atlanta will be wearing their throwbacks. And I actually was going to pick Atlanta, but after Kyle Pitts blew it for me on fantasy, and given how I'm still not liking what the Falcons are doing, I got to roll with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win on the road. The Falcons, I do think y'all probably Falcons. I think y'all gonna get better as the season goes on. Y'all still trying to find time finding your chemistry with each other. That's all. Then we have the first of I believe it's four London games this year, where the New York Football Jets taking on the Minnesota School Vikings. New York Jets, they lost in the rain to the Denver Broncos at home. Seriously, it was very messy conditions there. And had this game been in clear weather, the Jets probably could have won. Or, better idea, had they used Brees Hall in the game, they would have had a better chance of winning. You'll think in the rain use your best option on offense to run the ball. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Vikings, they're 4-0. They're still undefeated somehow. But they're the surprise team right now in the NFL. Sam Darnold still playing well. Justin Jefferson, generational talent. And Vikings, they're just winning games. They're 4-0. Now, this game being played in London, I would say the Vikings will go undefeated, finish up 3-0. However, I think the Jets are going to bounce back and get a win, hand the Vikings their first loss of the season. And the real reason, because Aaron Rodgers have done this to this team so many times in the past. I'm going to roll with the Jets to win. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Chicago Bears. The Panthers had a tough loss against the Bengals, but the offense looked good. That defense, on the other hand, it did not. As for the Chicago Bears, they looked okay. Good, not great against the Rams. They took advantage of a very injured Rams squad. Now, with this game being played in Chicago, and the fact that the Panthers have not won there since Steve Smith was there, I believe me, it's a very long time since I last seen the Panthers win in Chicago. I'm gonna roll with the Bears to win this game. I do believe this might be a coming out game because the Panthers defense, they're struggling right now. They just lost their second best defensive player on the team in Shaq Thompson to a torn Achilles. And yeah, I do think the Bears, they could take advantage of that defense. Speaking of defense, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Ravens, they where it has been all season. They finally look like what they're supposed to look like in the preseason. They ran all over the Buffalo Bills, and it was not even close. 35-10 Sunday night football blowout, and mostly led by Derrick Henry. Meanwhile, the Bengals, they finally got their long overdue first win of the season. And they did so against the Carolina Panthers. With this game being played in Cincinnati, it's Division AFC North football. This game could go in any direction. However, that Bengal defense, is struggling, like with the Panther defense, is struggling as well. And I'm because of that, I'm gonna roll with the Baltimore Ravens to win on the road to get their third win in a row. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins taking on the New England Patriots. Dolphins losing again. This time they had Tyler Huntley as their starting quarterback. And while he looked better than the options they had beforehand, this team really needs Tua back in the worst way. I never seen a team look that incompetent without their starting quarterback in the lineup. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, yes, they lost to the 49ers on the road. I did say, but they did look better than what I anticipated. And with the game being played in New England, no Tua, Dolphins are struggling bad. I gotta go with the Patriots to win. And yes, I cannot believe I'm saying that, but yes, I'm going with the Patriots to win. Following that, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Washington Commanders. Browns losing on the road to the Raiders, in which Amari Cooper, he had himself a very, very rough game at wide receiver. Hell, the entire offense had a rough game. Now for the Commanders, they're they're on a roll right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of fear this team. Jaden Daniels, he's looking like the runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year. He had himself another great game. His completion percentage is unbelievably good. And the Cardinals, the Commanders, they look like one of the teams to beat in the NFC. Now, that comment might change in a month from now, but Commander fans, just take what you could get. Now, this game's being played in Washington, so that will give Washington some hope. Although the last time the Browns came here, they actually won that boot and eventually boot the Commanders out of the playoffs 2 short years ago. And to me, it was one of Deshaun Watson's last good games he had as a Brown. But however, this is a new day in Washington, D.C. I'm going to roll with the Commanders to win. I am now buying into the hype of Jaden Daniels. Next up we have is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this will be the game the Jaguars will be wearing their 1995 throwbacks. The Colts got their second win of the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers, knocking them out of the unbeaten ranks. But that win did came at a cost. They lost Anthony Richardson in the game due to a hip injury. He might also suffer a concussion, but can't confirm that. They just ruling it as a hip. But Joe Flacco came in and did what he used to do against the Steelers back in the day. Beat them. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they had that Houston Texans game in control, but questionable coaching decisions by Doug Peterson derailed that game, i.e. going for it on a 4th and short instead of taking the 6-point lead. Now this game is being played in Jacksonville, and if you know anything about the Indianapolis Colts, they struggle in this building. I don't know what it is. It could be the Florida humidity, but the Colts, in going to Jacksonville, that is their kryptonite. They have not won in there since 2014, a decade ago. And you know what? I think that streak will continue. I'm going to go with Duval County to win their first game of the season. It's long overdue for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they need anything, any sign of hope that could get them a win. So I'm going to roll with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win. Following that, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Broncos will be unleashing their Orange Crush throwbacks for this game. Raiders, but let's start with the Raiders. They won their second game of the season against the Cleveland Browns. It was a hard-fought game, and they played, and they looked okay despite not having Max Crosby or Devontae Adams, and now getting word that Adams went out of this team. He's requesting a trade. Meanwhile, for the Denver Broncos, a surprisingly road win despite Bo Nix's not so good performance. He had negative passing yards in the first half. He was like 7 for 8 for negative 7 yards. But hey, he made good in the second half. He made just enough throws to the point where he got the job done. So kudos to him. This game being played in Denver, I could pick the Broncos to win. However, Raiders is a team that always seem to have the Broncos number. I'm going to go with the road team Raiders to win. I don't expect a lot of scoring in this one. I'm going to roll with the Raiders to win. And then we have the Arizona Cardinals taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Cardinals losing to the Commanders. What else is new? And I'm starting to get a little disappointed in Arizona. I mean, yes, everyone know that they're not going to be a good team this year, but I feel like they should be playing way better than what they've been playing. And then we have the 49ers. They rebounded against the New England Patriots. Although I felt like in the second half they kind of took the foot off the gas. This game being played in San Francisco. Yeah, I don't see. Well, it is a division game, so you never know. But I am going to. 49ers shouldn't have a problem with this game. And then we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Last week, the Packers, Jordan Love came back. And then they lost to the Minnesota Vikings at home. As for the Rams, they lost on the road to the Bears, but is now showing that the injuries are beginning to impact this team, as it already is. Seriously, the Rams probably at this point they probably gonna end up starting a janitor, a race car driver, and a couple ball boys at this point. And it's only week 5 for them. This game being played in LA, I will say don't count out the Rams. But right now, they just need health. I'm gonna roll with the Green Bay Packers to win. Jordan Love, I think I'm gonna just chalk up Jordan Love's first loss to the season to rust. He could get back in rhythm, get that running game going. I'm gonna roll with the Green Bay Packers to win. And following that, we have the New York Giants taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Giants not scoring a touchdown against the Dallas Cowboys. Where have we heard that statement before? Daniel Jones, he struggled last week. There were calls for him being benched, and I actually agree with them because when you're not playing good, you deserve to be benched. But Malik Neighbors, on the other hand, he looked nice. Meanwhile, Seattle Seahawks, they had a tough first loss of the season to the Detroit Lions, where I believe they actually played a decent enough game. It was a nice little duel, but I felt like they were always behind throughout this entire game. But that game did show me Seattle they're going to be a team that's going to stick around. And hopefully their defense rebound after a not so good showing. And with this game being played in Seattle, I don't see a scenario where Seattle loses this game. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks to win. And then for Sunday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And if this was 1976, this would have been my game of the week. Instead, it is 2024, so it's not quite my game of the week. Dallas Cowboys, they got a win over the New York Giants. Where have we heard this statement before? But in hindsight, they kind of looked lethargic against them. Yes, the Giants are a bad team, but anyone got the intuition that this team should be playing way better than what's advertised? Granted, they're going to be very, very hobbled coming into this game on the defensive side. I don't expect to see Micah Parsons playing in this game. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's going to be out for a chunk of weeks due to another foot issue. Fun stuff in Dallas. And the fact that they still don't have a running game. Fun stuff. Meanwhile, the Steelers, they lose their first game of the season to the Indianapolis Colts. Despite efforts to come back and try and win that game, Justin Fields, he played well in the second half, but it was tough to dig themselves out of a 17-point hole. And I love how the Colts neutralized TJ Watt for that game because he was pretty quiet that game. Now, this game being played in Pittsburgh, Sunday Night Football, and that defense, Cowboys, and given that the Cowboys are kind of struggling right now, I am going to roll with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. I don't but do I expect a lot of scoring? I'm going to say maybe, But these last four matchups between these two teams, they have been thrilling endings. So we could be in for a barn burner. And then we go for Monday Night Football with the New Orleans Saints taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Saints, two losses in a row to the division, this time to the division rival Atlanta Falcons, and it looks like their voodoo magic has slowly faded away after that 44-point blowout against Dallas. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, once again, they won against the Chargers despite, and it also had help with the and it also helped that the refs called 9 penalties against the Chargers. But what did it cost them? Rasheed Rice, it looked like he torn his ACL. They have not confirmed it yet, and it's Wednesday. And he's so the Chiefs once again they signed Hollywood Brown and had Rasheed Rice, both men out for the year. Could they be in play for Devontae Adams or Amari Cooper? We'll just have to wait and see. But one thing about the Chiefs, what good teams do, they find ways to win games, and the Chiefs are no different. So in this game, it's being played in Kansas City. It's Monday Night Football, and usually Monday night Kansas City is a tough place to play. I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs to win. Hopefully the refs will not interfere with this game. And finally, we have my game of the week for the week. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Houston Stroud Texans. The Bills, oh boy, they had a tough go at it against Baltimore last week. Blown out in every single fashion. That's the type of game where you just throw away the tape, move on to next week. Meanwhile, the Texans, they came from behind against their division rival Jacksonville Jaguars to win that game. But has anyone had the intuitions that the Texans should be playing a lot better than what they are? I mean, yes, Stroud and Nico Collins, they still look good, but I don't know. They've been in a lot of low-scoring games this year. Maybe it's taking them time to get their rhythm. They'll probably find their rhythm by the time November hits. But that's how I see it. Games being played in Houston. I could go with the Texans with this game. However, I think Buffalo's going to rebound to win if they could get their running game back going, which is something that they couldn't get going last week. If they could get their running game going, I think the Bills going to win, could go on the road and win this game. But I will not be surprised if the Strouds pull off a win. And that concludes Week 5 predictions. Tell what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.